WV Uncommon Place. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts, along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episode. The Uncommon Place digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to our Uncommon Place.
Howdy, everybody. This is JR Sparrow. I'm back for an episode of West Virginia Commonplace in our specialty, which is interviews and sessions. And today we are covering one of my favorite things on an author. Authors make the world go round because they have a perspective that we necessarily don't always take into consideration. They have to have the perspective of themselves, of another person, of the next person in the room, person 30 miles down the road, and then the person that is all the way around the world. I don't have that much perspective in my life, so I can't do that. But today I have with me Erica D. Arcangelo. Did I not chop that up?
That was perfect. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So the question that we always ask, a nostalgic question is, who are you? So Erica, I'm going to pass the floor to you. So please tell us who you are, and then we'll get into some details.
Okay, so I guess I'm a relatively new book author. I've owned a marketing company for about 14 years, and a few years ago, I was helping my dad with his pizzeria that my grandfather opened in 1960, and I just became really inspired to write my grandfather's story and just wrote that book and about to release a children's series here coming up in a few weeks.
Okay, so let's dive into that first book. This book, A Story About a Pizza. Tell us about the background of the book. Tell us about your grandfather. Let us know about your family. What makes pizza important to you, also?
So, first of all, I love pizza. I was born into pizza. My grandfather was an Italian immigrant, and he came over with his family from Abruzzo, Italy. And they were very poor. They worked in the coal mines in a little town called Wimber, Pennsylvania. And my grandfather's dream was to open a pizzeria because he wanted to be able to support his family. And so, after many years in the coal mines, finally the coal mines closed, and he pursued his dream of opening this pizzeria. And so, the book really follows his story and the culture of my family.
Okay, okay. Now, my question to you is, uh, being with your father and him and you connecting your family history, how did that like inspire you to write this book?
Well, I had lived far away from the time that I finished high school, and my dad had heart surgery. This was probably about, 5 or 6 years ago. And my family and I just decided it was kind of time to come home. And so we went home for the year, and we lived 15 minutes from my parents. And so at the time, my dad was recovering from surgery, and I said, "Hey, let's go to the restaurant together. You can work a couple days a week and I can film content and I'll help you with marketing." And funny enough, my dad's super old school and he said, "I don't believe in marketing." So I said, "Well, I'll go for free. Let's just go and we'll spend some time together." And then I started kind of filming in the restaurant and filming the food. And I started looking through all the pictures. And my dad was telling me stories because we had like a 15 to 20-minute drive there and back. And I was just like, this is a very important story to tell.
Oh, okay. Now, pizza, it's a beloved staple in America. So what do you think makes it such a powerful symbol of the American dream, especially for Italian families?
I think every single American probably has some type of a pizza story. Maybe what their favorite pizza is, their favorite pizzeria. And then we have a whole culture of people who have come from all over the world. And we have so many families who've opened pizzerias and they've brought recipes and traditions over from where they were from and have really shared it. And I think it's just really interwoven into the American culture right now.
I can agree with that because I can even see myself with my travels across the whole state of Pennsylvania, and even like just thinking about like when I went to Boston and the difference in how they make pizza compared to what they do in Detroit, Chicago, and everywhere else. And even in
right?
Florida, it's a different culture with pizza. So I can see that. Now, how did your grandfather's journey from working in the coal mines to opening a pizzeria reflect the hopes and struggles of many immigrants in your eyes?
I think that it really showed that, these people, they came over with nothing. I mean, my grandfather and his family, they didn't have anything. And they really worked very hard in the coal mines, and there were a lot of injustices at that time. There wasn't a union. A lot of the miners were underpaid. There was abuse. There was a separation. Like on one side of the town, there were the Italians. On the other side of the town, you had the Irish, the Polish, and the Slovakians. And the people running the mines didn't want the two groups to talk because of the injustices. So I think really seeing that and then looking at, despite it all, how so many people decided to pursue their dream and they really built so many things in our country that we have now. And just, I love the evolution of somebody not being given everything, but really coming from nothing and really building it into something. I just think it's very beautiful.
Okay, okay. Now, your grandfather is the heart of this book. What was one of the most inspiring and surprising things that you found out about him while you were doing research on this book?
I mean, the thing that I love the most that was very interesting to me is that my grandfather was very quiet and he was like very self-spoken. He didn't, or soft-spoken. He didn't say a lot, but he would go like when the restaurant was closed, he would kind of go around town and he would socialize with people and he had like a ton of friends. And I really thought that was really cool because he worked like day and night. At night, he was making sure that the coal furnace was burning, that the building was heated, that the restaurant was running. But during that time, during the day before the restaurant opened, because it opened at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, he would really just go around to people around town and would be talking and I thought that was really nice.
Now, your family's pizzeria has been around since 1960. How has it evolved over the years and how has it stayed the same, in your opinion?
Sure. I mean it has evolved so much, but it's almost stayed like exactly the same. So first of all, my grandfather bought the building. It was a building that was built in 1905. So my father worked to restore the building. So the building, it looks very similar, but it's been upgraded. And like on the walls, we have pictures of like all the family members. And then the menu evolved. Like when my grandfather first started making pizzas, he made a plain pizza and pepperoni pizza, just a rectangular 15 slices. That was the traditional pizza. Now we have 16 different kinds of pizza, and then we have a rectangular pizza, and then we have a Mike's pie, which is like a round thin pizza. Um, we added sandwiches. We have salads now. We have all different kinds of stuff. Even we have homemade chicken cutlets that my grandma used to make. We have like a chicken parm sandwich. So we have a meatball appetizer. So we just sort of like took the family recipes and we just started adding like every year we would add something.
Okay, okay. Now, having a family atmosphere, what's the secret for creating that in this pizzeria for you all?
Well, I think it's really like the personalization. Like my dad is there when the place is open and he really greets people and talks with them about the menu and he tells them the story and the history. And like on every menu, we have the history of the pizzeria there. So I think that part is really special. Like when you walk in there, it's not just you're not just going in there to get pizza. It's really an experience to go there.
Okay. Now, in preserving all this history that you and your father have gotten from your grandfather and him coming over to America, what do you do today beyond this book to keep up the food and the tradition when you're away from the pizzeria? Like you personally, what do you do? Like, how do you let people know about it with the book and with your cooking?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do is that my husband and I, when we travel, we go to and find where the best pizza is. And one of the things that if you see like on our Instagram for reels, we'll do reels of our experience in the pizzeria and I'll bring the book and show the book on the reels. And then we usually collaborate with the pizzeria so that we're promoting the pizzeria, but we're also showing the story about Pizza Book.
Okay, I like that. Now, pizza is more than just the food in your book. It's a symbol of connection, perseverance, and family. How did you weave these themes into your storytelling?
I mean, what I really did is I spoke with my dad, I interviewed family members, I went through pictures, and I also looked at like how I grew up. Like we had a very close-knit family. We had 5 kids. My parents, we had cousins, we had aunts and uncles, and I mean, like Christmas, we would have between 50 and 80 people, and we always had Christmas Eve at the pizzeria. We closed it down and we would do the traditional 7 fish, which was like in the Italian culture, that's what we did every year. And we would invite not just family, but friends and other people that we knew, people who didn't have anywhere to go for Christmas. And so we had a very full table every Christmas, which was very nice.
And thank you for doing that because sometimes you never know how that dish helps somebody along the way. Now, do you have a favorite recipe or family dish that has a special story behind it that the audience can know about?
Absolutely. So in the book, there is a recipe for pasta visual, and it's my father's recipe. And it's super special because my grandmother made this like very plain pasta visual that was just like beans and red sauce and pasta. And my dad kind of evolved this recipe, and he does like spicy Italian sausage, and he gets vegetables from the garden, and he makes like, oh, it's almost like a minestrone pasta visual hybrid, and it's so delicious and amazing. So he'll make that with like red sauce. He'll do the beans, he'll do the sausage, the vegetables, the pasta, of course, and then the Parmesan Reggiano cheese. And it's, oh, and the hot pepper seeds. You gotta have hot pepper seeds on that.
Okay. Now let me do something. And this is to help out other people that are aspiring to be authors. What was the process of turning your family's history into a historical fiction book?
Sure. I mean, it was quite a process. It was a lot of research and then outlining and then writing each part of the book and then almost like finishing the whole book and putting it down and then going back through it again. And then I finished it and I just let it sit for like 4 months because I didn't know what to do with it. So then there's like the next phase of like, how do I want to publish this? And how do I want to promote this book? Thankfully, I came from a marketing background, so I was able to kind of navigate that to a certain degree. I would say for sure, one thing I didn't do with this book that I'm going to do with the next book is pre-orders and just pre-promotion. Because once the book came out, I was like, okay, I've got to, hurry up and promote the book now that it's out. And I wish I would have had 1 or 2 months before the book was out to promote it too.
Okay. So my next question that goes along with that, was there a part in this book that you had to stop, like not because of writer's block, but because of the emotion? Was there a part that you had to kind of like grab your chest because it was something either not whelming, warming, or something that kind of took you back, like made you just gasp for a second?
I mean, there were a couple different things. So my father told me this, and I didn't know this, but at the time when the book was written, had been like a start of an Italian mafia in Wimber, Pennsylvania, which was a very tiny town. And one of the stories is that my great grandfather and my grandfather were building their house by hand. They built it by hand with stones. They went and got the stones and laid the stones. And the people showed up at the house and they wanted my grandfather and my great grandfather to give them money. And my great grandfather went into the house and got a gun. And he said, get off my property. And basically, like, told them not to ever come back. And they never showed up back again after that.
Whoa.
Yeah. So my
Wow.
dad told me that I was really surprised because, like, I didn't know my great grandfather, but my grandfather was very soft-spoken. He was very kind. And I was just like, wow, I didn't know that happened.
Wow. And that's amazing because, in that time and just knowing about what went on in New York being so close,
Yeah.
like that, that had to be scary for them. So knowing that part of the history, that had to be pretty amazing. So when you finished the book, you said you sat on it for a little while. What was it like when you let someone read it and like review it, not the edit portion, but like someone to actually read it thoroughly through and give their opinion of it?
I was nervous. So the first person, other than my husband, that looked at it was our very good friend who is a movie producer. And I thought, okay, he's going to give me honest feedback on this. And that's what I wanted. I was like, I want someone to tell me, like, is this book good or not? And so he was the first one that read it. And then after I got his feedback, I felt a lot more confident about the project. And that's when I, like, brought an editor on and was really ready for like the next phases of publishing the book.
Okay, and let's talk about the publishing steps. Publishing a
Mhm.
book, what is that like now? How does that work out for you?
So there's two ways to do it. It's, you can self-publish or you can find a publisher, and you have to find like a literary agent, which is a little bit of a complicated process. And so a lot of people go with self-publishing. There's a lot of self-publishing companies that will kind of help you with your distribution and putting the book everywhere that it needs to go. That's what I recommend to do because you have the people with the expertise of like the sizes, and they'll release it out to, all the websites that sell books. And then from there, it's really a matter of marketing. It's marketing yourself as an author, your website, figuring out where online you want to sell your book, if you want to run ads, and building up your social media assets. Like I was doing marketing for my dad's restaurant on TikTok for 5 years, and I had a viral TikTok page. So I had some videos with 64 million views. So I had an asset that I already had been working on for 5 years that I could kind of launch my book from. And you kind of have to think with those things of like, building your social media and your author presence online before you push your book out so that you have, people who, you push it out and you have eyes on your book immediately.
Okay. And then one other trick I want to give to any author, and this is something that we learned in school, is any state capital. If you go there and give the ISBN of a book, in the state capital, they will order the book for every county in the state. That's something that people forget about. And that's
Mhm.
a little hack. And I mean, you have to go to state capitol and order it at the state library there. But that's a hack that I always tell people that's what you can do. And like West Virginia, it's so small, 1.7 million people, but 55 counties. And we have two libraries in some counties or three in counties. So that's how people get their books spread there. So I hope that helps any author or anybody else out because that's just a little hack that you can do. Now, going forward, this book's been published. And it feels like a reward to you. I know it does. What was the definitive period after it been has been released that has made you felt warm about it? Like made you feel great about this book?
So the thing that I love the most is when people contact me with feedback and post things. And I love it when, I get someone who texts me or they'll send me a Facebook message, or, they'll just say that they really enjoyed the book and they'll talk to me about it because that was why I wrote it. I wanted to create a positive effect and I wanted people to love the story and, to enjoy the story. So that was really what makes me the most happy of anything else.
Okay. Now, we do a portion of this show that I pay homage to a news magazine. This news magazine is 2020. John Stossel was the comic relief. Diane Sawyer was very poignant with her interviews. Elizabeth Vargas did whatever she did, but it was one lady in particular, the late great Barbara Walters. Barbara Walters could make someone personable, or if she didn't do very well, they cut her off at 11 o'clock. And you know exactly what I'm talking about because it was sometimes that she got to run over past 11. When you watch it, you knew that was a good episode. And sometimes she didn't have great ones, but we love Barbara Walters. Rest in peace on this one. So, Erica, are you ready for your 2020 question?
Absolutely.
All right, so your first one's a fun one. This is our John Stossel question. So, you're out here, you produce this book, you're about to do a second book or a series of books, correct?
Yep.
Now, what made you jump from the one book to a series? What made you decide that it's time to get back in gear and start writing?
You know what? It's so funny because I was like having coffee with my very best friend, and she's owns a photography company and just super aesthetic. And she had looked at my book and she said, "This book would be amazing if you took it and you created a children's series or a children's book." And I was like, you know what? You're right, because it's literally just about this boy who comes over and he loves pizza, and it'd be really cool to just promote Italian culture and pizza and just have a positive message in the book. And so then I just decided to like, that day I think I went home from the coffee shop and I wrote the children's book. And then I think I wrote a coloring book and now I've written almost all of the series of books. And now, the illustration process is happening now. So we
Okay.
just finished illustrating the first one and we're going to continue on that.
Congratulations. So here's a fun question. This is something that I need to know because I'm not part of your culture. There's there's two cultures. There's Italian and there's Sicilian. Now, in my travels, it starts when you get up in Pennsylvania. I think it's not necessarily Pittsburgh, it's like Hazleton, and you start going east, closer to New York. Get up near Jim Thorpe and all around that area.
Mm-hmm.
There's a divide in what an Italian pizza is and what is a Sicilian pizza. So I need your honest opinion on this. Which pizza is better, the Italian or the Sicilian?
I think it's the Italian, but I'm also from a more northern Italy than Sicily.
Okay.
Personally, that's where my family's from.
Okay. And the reason why that's a fun question because it leads into the next one because it's the next part. So if someone brings you a Sicilian pizza, what is the difference? And this is something for the culture for everybody. What is the difference between a Sicilian pizza and an Italian pizza in your opinion?
I think the Sicilian pizza is a rounder, thinner pizza, right? And the Italian
Mhm.
pizza has like comes from the north, like the history of pizza is like the first pizza is almost like a focaccia.
Right?
And then you have like the square pizza. So I consider the Italian pizza almost like a square or rectangular pizza, and the Sicilian pizza is like a very thin round pizza, which hey, listen, I'll eat either pizza. I love pizza.
Okay.
I'm not saying no to pizza ever.
Okay. Now on to we're going to do your dinosaur question. So pizza. What is a topping that can ruin a pizza for you?
Ham,
Ham? Now
ham.
let's go deeper then. Ham,
Hmm.
Canadian bacon, any type of pork that's not part of the
Oh,
persuasion,
I like bacon. We do a bacon and tomato pizza, and I
okay.
put pepperoni on it, and it's delicious. But just ham, I don't love. I actually like pineapple. I like pineapple and pepperoni. I know that's a controversial one. Some people they like pineapple. Some people are like, don't put pineapple on pizza. But I don't know why. Just for me, ham is just it's not my item.
Well, I'll tell you something wild. I was in a place called Appalachian, New York 2 summers ago, and they made a pizza with pastrami.
Really?
Yes, pastrami.
Oh, wow.
And it was odd because they didn't use a tomato base because tomato and pastrami might not go. They used some type of Alfredo base for it. And
Wow.
what is it? Pesto? I think that's
Pesto.
yeah, and pesto mixed together. And it was really good. Tried to
Yeah.
recreate it, had to throw it away when I tried to recreate it. Couldn't do what they did. And they did it in a brick oven, which was a little different,
Mm. Yeah.
but I forgot the name of the pizzeria, but it's in Appalachian, New York, like at the very top. I mean, it's like going towards Canada or whatever. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was one strange one for me. So, what is the strangest topping you've ever eaten on a pizza?
Okay, so I have one that I make. So my mom owns a jam company and she makes a jalapeno peach jam. And so I do the jalapeno peach jam as the sauce. And then I do like a sharp cheddar cheese on top. And then I do fresh peaches and fresh jalapenos. And then I sprinkle with some Parmesan. It's so delicious, but it's not like something that you would normally like have on a pizza.
Okay. All right. Now, here's another question. Now, if you're like me and you were affirmated in pizzerias, but there's some people that there are local chains of pizza, but they all they know are these big box pizza places. What is a big box pizza place that you can turn your nose up to?
I'm, I'm picky about pizza. There's everywhere you go, there's so many like amazing pizza places that aren't necessarily like chains, they're family owned. And so like wherever I'm at, I like go on the pizza app. Like I look either at the Dave Portnoy pizza app or I just Google it and I'm just always looking for like where the pizza is. So I will tell you, I wouldn't go to like Domino's or Little Caesars or like I just that's just not where I would eat pizza, I guess.
Right. So you're a pizza
Yeah.
connoisseur. So I like that. Pizza connoisseur, and that
Yeah.
works. Because I will say this, once you eat at a pizzeria and you eat at a place, whereas so many people like to call mom and pop places, it's a difference. And it's
Yeah.
to me, and I hate to do this saying is, if you eat a chain pizza, it's cardboard.
Yeah, it's the quality. Like, my mom, she grows the ingredients in her garden. Like, we grow the basil. We've been using the same pizza sauce since 1960. Like, we freshly grate the cheese. We make the dough every day we're open. There's just something about having fresh food that's really nice.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Has there ever been a chance that you've eaten a pizza in like cooked it in a strange way, like grilled a pizza or did anything wild like that? Can you tell us about an
Yeah.
experience like that?
Absolutely. So, kind of near where my parents' pizza place is, there's a little place called Ligonier, Pennsylvania. And in the summer, they have a farmer's market. And every Saturday at the farmer's market, they have a grilled pizza. And it's super good. Like we would go there and we would get it.
Okay. Because
Yeah. So I recommend it.
yeah, and like I said, I've tried it. I was in a place called Traverse City in Michigan.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I said, once again, I forgot what the name of the place was, but they grilled the pizza, and I was like, whoa. Went up to the Upper Peninsula, up to Marquette, and this is what they did. They grilled the pizza, right? And they put some kind of like they put some kind of Gouda cheese on top of it while it was still hot,
Oh,
and and the toppings were like Italian sausage and different things like that, and it worked out amazing. And outside of it, like you said, pizza is a culture of its own, and we could go
yeah.
on for days. But now let's
Yeah.
get to the serious questions. Here, we're going on to our Barbara Walters. Now, Erica, you've written this book, you're doing a series, you're doing everything um, to preserve the legacy of pizza in your family's name. What do you consider the crowning success of your family's legacy?
I think the continuation of it, whether it be the pizzeria in Wimber, PA, or whether we open more pizzerias. But, my grandparents, they opened this pizzeria for our family, and I would love to see that continue through the generations. And, maybe the pizzeria is open for 65 years now, but maybe it's another 65 years.
Okay. And I can see that and I appreciate that. Now, with everything you do, your cup is half full or half empty, right? How
Mhm.
do you replenish yourself from the business, from every aspect of life, the marketing and everything? How do you take care of yourself as a person being involved in every facet of all this business you're a part of?
For me, a big part of it's just gratitude. I'm very grateful, even for the problems, because those come along with it. When you have a goal, it's like you're going to experience problems. And I think just, grateful for being able to have problems and grateful for being able to accept challenges and to be able to create beautiful things.
Okay. Now, there's always a lasting effect that people have on us. Your grandfather had a lasting effect, probably your great grandfather, your grandmothers, and all of them.
Yeah.
If there was a portal that you could go talk to them through right now or step through with them, what type of pizza would you bring them? And what
Hmm.
stories would you bring from now or from the time that they haven't been here? What stories would you give them and let them know, like, how you appreciated them? What would you tell them basically?
I mean, I would walk through the portal with DRX Pizza in my hands, and I would have my book, and I would have pictures of our family and, just the grandchildren and the great grandchildren that were born after they left, and really talk to them about those people and show them just because, like, I know there would be so much love there. Like that's what they looked forward to. Like all of my grandparents were, the kids and the family, and we were together all the time. So I think just, telling them about how the kids are doing.
Okay, I appreciate that. Now, one thing I want to do here, we do a little quick testament, but before we do that, we want to do the shameless plug. The shameless plug is where you get out here and let everybody know where they can meet and greet you across the internet. where they can get a hold of this book, and maybe at some point they can, if they're in Pennsylvania, they can get a slice of pizza or a whole pizza, however y'all decide to serve them. So the
Yeah.
floor is yours, Erica. Let them know how they can meet and greet you across the internet.
Awesome. So easiest way is just search for a story about pizza. The website is astoryaboutpizza.com, and it's DRX Pizza is the pizza shop, and it's in Wimber, Pennsylvania.
Okay, okay. Now, um, there's something we always want to do. We want to give a certain bit of time to our family. We want to give them their flowers because even when they're alive or even when they're not present with us in the physical sense, they're always with us. So, to that family that's not here, what's the message you want to leave them with?
Just more of just thank you. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. Thank you for the way that we were raised and just the lessons that we were taught, and to treat people with kindness and respect, and really go out of our way to help people that needed it. And those things, I think when you're small, you don't notice them as much, but as you become an adult, you really reflect back on the examples that adults set for you. And I'm grateful that I had the grandparents that I had.
And I want to tell you, thank you for that. Under this instance, family is something that has gotten lost in translation in this day and age. And it's hard to keep the values, the lineage, and all that stuff up. So I want to thank you for doing that inside of a book and with every slice of pizza that your family puts out there in the world and has put out there in the world, because you're bringing people together. And it's so many stories that your pizza's telling that you'll never know about, but you know that there are stories. And you captured that in your book. You're carrying that on with the series. So thank you for that. And it takes a lot of heart, and it takes a strong person to do that, because you could have made a choice and said, "Hey, I'll just eat the pizza," and you didn't.
Yeah.
You want to go further. You want to do more with it. And one day this will lead to a Netflix series or even option a movie or something. Because if you're doing this now, you can just go ahead and get the movie script ready another summer from now. So think about that. Seriously.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I think so. And if you don't want to, just as long as you don't do a Tubi movie, at least give us a Lifetime movie if you don't want to take it full release. Uh, this would make a good warming story on Lifetime or somewhere. So
Oh
definitely please
yeah.
do that.
Oh yeah, I
So
would love that. I mean, Netflix, I mean, we're going to do a docu-series on the pizzeria. We're actually filming it over Christmas, so we'll see how it goes. I'm really excited about it.
well, congratulations for that. So audience, one thing I do want to leave you guys with before we leave the show is this. In our show notes, we will have all types of information about Erica, the pizza, Ria, and everything you need to know and how to get in touch with her. Once again, beyond the shameless plug. And one thing that is essential in this episode that I want everybody to reflect on is family. Family means everything when you and the family make a tradition. You make something together. People talk about a generational wealth, and the generational wealth was pizza. Pizza is a generational wealth that has been carried down through your family, and that is a tradition that's amazing because not everybody gets that. And I want you to like really hold on to that tight. If you got to make a cape and put pizzeria on the back of it and fly around the world with it, because that is a beautiful thing, and that's an art. That's an art that
Yeah.
is, like I said earlier, that is lost in this day and time in society. And I'm glad that you were able to come on the show, and I'm glad you were able to present that. And everybody, go please read this book, and then get ready for the coloring book, the series, and everything else, um, and get yourself intertwined into all this and make it part of your family, because Erica wants you to become part of her family with this book, with the pizza. And if you make a trip out to Pennsylvania, if you're by chance, go stop by and get some pizza from her father. So on that note, I'm JR and she's Erica, and we are signing off.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at onecommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.